On this episode of MythBusters, guns at the ready.
Well, this is a little more macho.
As Jamie and Adam head for the deep end to test once and for all if bullets really are stopped by water.
Hopefully we'll be gone before the pool fully drains.
And for the build team, it's playground pandemonium. Can you ever do a full 360
Squat push.
on a swing set?
Personally, I don't think that this is a safe thing to be doing.
They're gonna do whatever it takes. Hold on to your seats. You're in for a wild ride. Who are the MythBusters? Adam Savage
I reject your reality and substitute my own.
and Jamie Heineman.
We're either going to die or we're going to fly.
Between them, more than 30 years special effects experience.
That was intense.
They don't just tell the myths, they put them to the test.
Another myth where we get to fire some guns. What's this one all about?
The myth is that you're being shot at, you dive underwater, the water protects you from the bullets.
You know, I've seen this in countless Hollywood movies. The hero's being chased by the bad guys. He jumps off a bridge and into like a river. They all start shooting where they think he is, and he escapes totally unscathed.
Well, you know, I have no doubt that the water's going to slow down and eventually stop a bullet. But what we have to test is how deep would you have to be protected by it?
How deep do you have to dive to survive? The MythBusters will build a 10-foot tall acrylic tank, add some ballistics gel, fill it with water, and start shooting. They'll move the gel up and down until they learn the survival depth for each gun they fire. But before they can start building, Jamie's making the ultimate sacrifice.
Would you like some chocolate?
He's dismantling his trophy shelves so that they can use the acrylic to make the ballistics tank with. Both Adam and Jamie are gunning for it. The faster they build, the sooner they can unload the MythBusters arsenal. Jamie begins work on the water tank. To cope with the force of gunshots, the inch-thick acrylic is held in place by iron girders. Adam, on the other hand, is working on something smaller.
I'm starting to make a plexiglass box that will hold my ballistics gel block and allow it to be adjustable within our, what do you call this? Our bullet bench model fish tank sort of thing.
Also known as the ballistics tank. Adam's gel-holding box will slide into the tank where it will be raised or lowered to any given depth. And the gel? Well, believe it or not, the recipe comes courtesy of the FBI. And while the gel's setting, the tank's ready to be filled up. Slowly, the leaks are starting to appear. Their tank is marginally more waterproof than a sieve, but Jamie's opted to take a positive outlook.
Right at the bottom, there's a little bit of a pinhole leak, but I'm not too concerned about it because it'll probably take all day to get like, 5 gallons out.
So rather than fix it, they'll live with the leaks. In the meantime, the ballistics gel is all set. Its flesh-like consistency is such that if a bullet goes through it, you'd be dead. If it doesn't, you'd live to tell the tale.
To be honest, until right now, I wasn't sure that that was going to work.
Lastly, Adam attaches a plastic strip to move the gel box within the water tank. The rig is all fired up. Now the team just need to work out what to shoot it with.
We need to try all sorts of different guns because somebody's going to give us grief that you didn't try the blah-de-blah that has a range of 10 miles. I think we should start out with the 9mm pistol that we have.
And we could do the M1 carbine. And a shotgun.
And then there's the big 50, the 50 caliber rifle, which is sort of the most powerful thing that you can own. And in fact, you can't own it in California.
So we'll have to borrow one.
We'll have to borrow one.
Well, that ought to silence most of our detractors in this one, but I expect we'll still get some complaints.
Yeah, you didn't use a cannon or something.
Cannons aside, Jamie goes shopping for the rest of the firepower. And he's come to the right place. They've got more guns here than a Tarantino movie.
So this is like an elephant gun then. What's that fancy black one there? Well, this is a little more macho.
Macho Jamie's got enough firepower to start a military coup, let alone test this watery myth. He's even arranged to borrow the dreaded 50 caliber.
This is a workout just picking it up. Weighs about 50 pounds. So can I see one of the bullets?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, well,
That's what this fires?
it's smaller than my head. It's all right.
Will he dare fire this mother indoors? Well, that depends on how the other guns do. And the starting gun is the smallest, the 9mm.
So we're a 9mm pistol, 147 grain round, distance of 6 feet. Okay, the gun is loaded. 3, 2, 1.
Interesting.
So, where's the bullet?
That looks like we went right through the ballistics gel, Jamie.
Sure enough, the bullet, fired at 960 feet per second, went clean through the gel. This means it was a fatal hit. 6 feet of water ain't enough to stop a 9mm pistol. So the team lowered the gel to 7 feet.
Okay, this is 9mm pistol, 147 grain round at 7 feet.
That's another one that went through. Shall we lower it to 8 feet?
Okay, this is 9mm pistol at 8 feet. 3, 2, 1.
And the result?
Whoa, no, that didn't go all the way through. Jamie?
Yeah.
It's about half an inch under the surface of the ballistics gel.
It's a non-lethal hit. 8 feet under, and you're safe from a 9mm. And for the next test, the shotgun.
There's that sound.
know. James Heidemann is ready?
So this is the 3-inch deer slug out of a shotgun. This is awkward. 3, 2, 1.
It's busted the tank. And water spilling straight onto the lights. This is seriously dangerous. Luckily, the power is pulled before anyone gets electrocuted.
Cords out, just yank them out.
The team are safe, at least for now.
Jesus wet, Jamie. There's a huge crack in the front piece here. And it looks like you forced the whole side here, this corner. It's all pushed away a good 1/4 of an inch.
Surprisingly, firing a pump-action shotgun inside, not a good idea. But in all the mayhem, what exactly happened to the slug?
We saw the little shotgun slug sitting on top of our ballistics gel and thought, erroneously it turns out, that it hadn't punctured the ballistics gel, but in fact, we looked carefully, we can see that not only did it puncture the ballistics gel, but knocked a massive chunk, a cone-sized chunk out of the bottom of the ballistics gel. That's definitely a lethal hit.
They pierced the gel, burst the tank, and maybe busted this watery myth. It's one of the great playground parables. If you try hard enough, can you get someone to swing over the top?
What a trooper. Not one complaint all day.
The build team is about to become king of the swings.
What is the myth, Grant?
The claim is that if you get up enough speed, you can actually swing all the way around a swing set, make a complete revolution without falling out.
Sounds like a good way to break your neck.
This is one where, quite honestly, I have no idea what the result's going to be. So what's the plan? How are you going to do this?
The overall plan is to purchase a standard regulation playground swing set and try it with one of us.
And when that doesn't work?
And when that doesn't work, then we'll goose it up and take it the next step.
Yet another common everyday item turned deadly.
The build team members are going back to their school days to test a classic kiddie myth. Can you ever swing all the way around a swing set? It's a dangerous challenge, so don't try this at home, kids. Leave this kind of myth busting to the experts.
I haven't been on one of these since I was a little kid.
And neither have the others. Yet they're about to try and swing 360. And what's more, today, Tori's in charge of safety. And he's already made an alarming find.
Warning, this swing was designed for use by children only, not for adult use. We have 3 adults that are going to be trying this out. This is not rated for that weight.
So, just to be sure, Tori adds more mats and decides to test exactly how safe they are.
All right, so this is for science. I think we need some softer pads.
As Tori continues being a human crash test dummy, the others are plotting something a little more scientific. They're building a giant calibrated scale, which, when coupled with the high-speed camera, will allow them to work out whether they're coming close to generating sufficient force needed for a chain straight 360. This myth is a battle between the strength of the pusher driving the swing up and the force of gravity pulling the frustrated swinger down. The pusher must propel the swing fast. Centripetal force, which depends on this velocity, maintains the circular motion. As the swing gets higher, if centripetal force is less than the force of gravity, the chains will go slack and the swinger will fall out of the sky. The high-speed camera will reveal the height at which the chains go loose and the exact velocity of the swinger. If no swingers get close, the team can use these figures to learn what it will take to go full circle.
Okay, test number 1, me under my own strength. Watch out.
So Carrie, you're gonna wanna swing to your maximum speed. Once you get up to that point, call out to the high-speed camera and they'll record it.
Okay, I'm getting to the point where the chain's starting to get loose when I get to the top. So I'm thinking I'm at my maximum.
Even at her maximum, Carrie's way off a 360.
Whoa!
You went total
Whoa!
You went
I'm
over
above
horizontal.
Your swing technique is excellent.
The high speed sure proves that. And it helps the team work out that Carrie reached a max height of 11 feet and swung at 23.5 feet per second.
Okay, who's up next?
Ready.
Test number 2, Tori underneath his own strength.
All right, ready?
Can Safety Officer Tori launch the child swing any further around?
All right. I'm okay.
Are you okay, dude?
Oh, I'm so glad we had the mats.
So the swing really wasn't rated for adult use.
Tongue swelling up.
As Tori swung, he just couldn't generate enough force to overcome gravity. The higher he goes, the harder he falls. But if it's any consolation, they got the numbers they needed.
So you achieved 22.4 feet per second, less than Carrie.
Before Grant's turn, Tori welds the swing firmly shut.
I'm not gonna let that happen again.
And that's not the only precaution, because after Tori's accident, Grant is suiting up for safety.
Freedom.
All right, it's gonna be test 3. Grant under full power, 2 people pushing.
With 2 pushers, Power Ranger Grant's picking up speed fast.
Big push, do the big push.
Go!
But he's going to need to use his superpowers to get over this swing bar. Even with 2 people pushing, Grant goes no closer to 360 than Carrie and Tori did on their own. 23 feet per second and 11.5 feet in height.
So even little Grant was too heavy to push all the way 360.
Hey, that suit was cumbersome, and it was getting a little scary.
Yeah, it's still way too dangerous.
So what's the plan?
Little simulated Susie.
And how much does simulated Susie weigh?
She weighs 65 pounds.
All right, that's about your average weight of like a 7 or 8-year-old.
Yeah, and she's not gonna complain.
For simulated Susie, sitting on a swing will be like a walk in the park. After all, for her last outing, she was strapped into a crashing airplane. Of course, little Susie can't hold on for herself, so the build team wire her in. Please don't try this at home. But using Susie isn't the only change. The team are also halving the length of chain, because a shorter chain needs less velocity to make the 360.
In with her.
In with her.
And then pull out.
Yeah.
Lastly, they tie ropes around her, so that this time they can really give it their all. The build team boys heave hard, but still no 360. So Tori calls in some beefy bikers.
Yeah, we need a little help. All right, we'll see you in a bit.
Now that was quick.
You made it! Dude, we need a little help.
Yeah, oh man, how you doing, huh? Good.
These Hell's Angels may be just what little Susie needs.
So the job we want to do is to get her to go over the swing set 360 degrees. So when I say go, we're gonna give it our full pull, and that'll be your cue for high speed. All right?
I got that feeling of success.
Cool. All right, you guys ready? 1, 2, here we go.
Success! Susie's over the bar. This myth is still alive and kicking.
That's all we needed. Just a little muscle.
Adam and Jamie have had a shotgun setback. Does water stop bullets? Well, from a 12 gauge, absolutely not. It ruptured the tank and flooded the store.
Lamps off, lamps off.
Well, it looks like we're not going to be shooting any more guns off in the shop.
Yeah, you know, I think the problem with our rig is it doesn't have to be vertical. That's a worst case scenario, but all we really need is obviously a longer column of water, but a column of water could be at an angle, like a 30-degree angle.
Which would actually be more realistically the way you would get shot at. You know, like somebody off to the side of a lake or a river or whatever.
Their first rig was the worst case scenario. With the shooter directly above, the target needs to be deeper than the furthest bullet. Now, with the shooter shooting at 30 degrees, the target can be much closer to the surface. For an 8-foot penetrating bullet, he'd need to be just 4 feet underwater. Adam begins recycling the busted vertical tank into the new, longer 30-degree rig. He's doubling the firing range as he makes a 20-foot railway on which the ballistics gel will be slid up or down to the necessary distance. And for this rig, he's also got to build an aiming system for Jamie.
When he's looking down the barrel towards this underwater, he's actually not going to be aiming at it. The angle of refraction means he's probably going to be aiming quite above it or below it. I don't actually know which. So it should be pretty interesting.
Not exactly laser sighting, is it? While Adam's been working, Jamie's found somewhere to shoot into water at 30 degrees. It's not a lake or river, but a public swimming pool.
I never cease to be amazed at what people will allow the MythBusters to come and do. We're firing bullets into their pool, and somehow everyone's agreed to cover it.
Worst case scenario today is that somebody dies from a bullet wound.
Well, that depends on whether they break out the .50 caliber. But shooting into a swimming pool is about as sensible as putting a Band-Aid on a bullet wound. The team head for the deep end to cause a splash with their calibrated rail rig, while gun expert Gina Rolski prepares their lethal weapons. This time, they've got a much larger arsenal, and they're going to shoot the heaviest rounds possible for each gun. Once again, Jamie's opted for the role of sharpshooter, while Adam, well, he's gone for frogman. The rig's in place, but because the pool is slightly shallower than they'd expected, it's ended up at an angle of 23 degrees rather than the planned 30.
You know, there's no law that says that bullets only enter the water at 30 degrees. Might as well be 23.
23 will have to do. Everything's set for the ballistics gel.
Now, the box jellyfish is one of the most lethal foes you'll encounter in your average swimming pool. They prefer temperatures between 79 and 82 degrees, and they give a nasty sting. If you see one, just swim in the other direction, and remember, he's just as afraid of you.
With the jellyfish in place and the refraction aimer marked up, the pool experiment can begin. And first weapon up is a replica Civil War rifle, which will be firing Jamie's homemade bullets at 1,000 feet per second.
This is the black powder rifle, ballistics gel at a distance of 15 feet. Okay, cocking, and 3, 2, 1.
It's a bullseye on the cellophane, but where did the round end up?
Directly underneath where I am.
Where you are?
It's about 25 feet.
The bullet veered way off target, so the confused team try again with the gel at 5 feet.
3, 2, 1.
That might have made it in.
But when Adam looks for it, it's nowhere to be seen, and it's certainly not in the gel.
I think when we're done with this, I think we'll be able to say that if you're, somehow transported back to the time of the Civil War and you're being chased by a battalion of soldiers, that actually diving into the water might actually save you.
But how deep would a time traveler need to dive? The team now tests 3 feet, and for that, they step up safety.
Okay, black powder rifle, distance of 3 feet.
Oh yeah, I see the round in the back of the box. That's definitely lethal at 3 feet.
Dead through 3 feet, safe through 5. But with the 23-degree shooting angle, you'd actually be safe just 2 feet under the surface. So, bring on the pump-action shotgun.
Okay, deer slug in the shotgun, 15 feet.
It was this that split their first rig. And just like then, it's firing at 1,400 feet per second. Adam's in to inspect the ballistics gel, but there's no bullet in it. It's empty.
It dropped right below me, so it expended all its energy. More at like 10 feet rather than 15 feet. So let's bring it up to 10.
Okay.
Same increment as before.
And 3, 2, 1. It's smoking.
It may be smoking, but yet again the round falls short of the target, so the gel's moved up to 8 feet.
3, 2, 1.
All right. Let's see what we got.
Jamie's beginning to enjoy this. This time it's a hit, so the shotgun's lethal at 8 feet. With this angle, below 4 feet, and you'd be safe. And next up, it's the first of the supersonic weapons. The 223 rifle, firing at a frightening 2,500 feet per second.
So this is the 223 at 10 feet.
Now that was loud. Frogman Adams in to assess the damage.
That was right there.
Well, there's your problem. This thing just exploded. What are these, hollow points or something?
No, just full metal jacket.
That's the very tip of it.
I mean, it's littered down there. I got up all the pieces I could.
Well, Adam, let's just bring this sucker right up to the shortest distance we can do. What's that, like 3 feet?
Absolutely, it's 3 feet.
3, 2, 1.
Surely 3 feet can't stop that mother.
The tip of the bullet was just resting at the ballistics gel.
Wow, this thing's breaking up the minute it hits the water. So, you know, no wonder we can't hit the ballistics gel.
So, as surprised as I am to say it, 223, myth actually confirmed.
On entering the water, the supersonic 223 bullet decelerates so fast that it disintegrates into tiny black fragments, which sink slowly to the bottom of the pool. So the team jumped the gun to the M1, firing at 2,800 feet per second. This is a serious weapon, and one that's already been through the MythBusters mill. When Adam and Jamie tested how tough bulletproof glass was, no guns could penetrate it. Until, that is, they tried the M1.
That went right through it.
This puppy flew straight through.
And 3, 2, 1.
And the results? The same as for the 223. Tiny fragments of bullet.
You know what? Instead of going to 5 feet, let's bring this thing right back up to, you know, that 2 foot, 3 foot mark that we had.
Okay. This is the M1 Garand 30 caliber at 2 feet. 2, 1.
At 2 feet, the powerful M1 just pierces the ballistics gel.
It's about 4 inches in, which by our calibration is just enough to break the skin.
Incredibly, this myth is confirmed for another supersonic gun.
Considering that out of water, that very bullet, when we were testing our blast chamber, went through 2.5 inches of bulletproof glass, the water obviously has a profound effect on the bullet in completely eliminating its deadliness very quickly. It's 2 feet underwater, 10 inches down from the surface. The myth's confirmed.
That only leaves the frightening 50 cal. But are the MythBusters brave enough to shoot this brute into the pool? In the 360 swing myth, the awesome foursome got Susie over the top. But it turns out to be not quite what the team had hoped for. Moments after Susie goes over the bar, she just falls out of the sky. It's not a chain straight 360, so it's back to the drawing board.
So you guys needed to call in the big guns to get her over the bar, did you?
Yeah, we cleared the bar, but it wasn't a full 360. It was more like 300, and then she fell.
Well, we know this myth is busted. You can't, under your own power, do a 360. But as MythBusters, we kind of want to see what it takes to actually do it.
So we decided to build a scale model to help us figure out if it was even possible.
The build team are shrinking. They've proved that the 360 swing myth is bogus. But now their challenge is to see what it does take to do a full chain straight revolution. And they've started their investigation in miniature as they build a swing and a Susie 1/6 of the original size.
Hello, I'm Susie. Hello.
Lost it. It's too late.
Tori, the minimum amount of push to get it 360.
Okay.
Test number 1, Tori power on the model. Ooh, that was good.
Pretty good.
And her speed, 36 feet per second. Way faster than even Grant swung at, and maybe too fast to replicate on the full-size swing. But there is a way to make it easier. Use rigid arms. With rigid arms, no energy is wasted in keeping the chain straight. All the forces are channeled into velocity, so a much slower speed is needed to go 360.
Okay, let's see what kind of velocity you need with a rigid arm.
Okay. High speed, ready?
Stand by, stand by.
Okay. That's it.
Bingo! The rigid arm only needed a velocity of 10 feet per second. And that means that the next stop is the big top, the Circus.
I'm standing here in my headband and my leg warmers because we've come to Oakland to Trapeze Arts. We hear that they have a swing that's guaranteed to do 360, and I want to try it.
The build team have found a full-size rigid arm swing and a circus acrobat who may be able to train them to go full circle.
Were you one of those kids that tried to do a 360 on the swing?
I've been in the circus my whole life. I'm a 7th-generation circus performer, so
Wow.
I really didn't have swing sets. I had Russian swings, trampolines, flying trapezes my whole life, so.
Eric's clearly the man to help the build team go 360. And to prepare, they first do their stretches. Before learning some important circus phraseology.
I think we got it.
Grant's up first, and harnessed in, he's ready for some negative G's.
Okay, Eric, are you sure I'm safe?
Yeah.
And with those words of encouragement, it's time to swing this puppy around.
I'm shrugging my shoulders, and it's...
You don't have to shrug yet. Yeah, you're not upside down yet, dude.
Open your eyes.
With Eric on board, the swing begins to creep higher and higher. They're already over 220 degrees. But Grant's not looking so hot.
Dude, he looks like he's about to hurl.
I need a break.
Nausea kicks in at 230 degrees.
It was really, really weird when we're getting up there. I had to stop, like I was kind of grunting, but I just had to kind of stop and focus.
Okay, here I come.
Can Carrie do any better? She's certainly not as green as Grant.
Okay, go ahead and lower your grip.
Yeah! Oh my gosh, that's enough!
Carrie's the highest so far, reaching 240 degrees. Can Tori make the elusive 360?
It's a challenge thing. The fact that both of them didn't make it, I have to make it.
Get your hands low.
Oh!
Now, this is looking more like it. As they get higher and higher, Tori's beginning to wobble.
Oh. I need a break.
So close. Tori's got up the highest yet, 280 degrees, before his legs turn to jello. But for this competitor, it ain't over yet.
Wow.
I need a drink of water, but I do want to try this again.
While Tori mends his muscles, Carrie and Grant make the most of their surroundings.
Legs up, put the bar.
Carrie has never trapezed before.
Let go. Reach for the catcher. Let go.
But at this rate, it won't be long before Barnum's beckons.
Legs up, put the bar.
And Grant, well, he's about as graceful as a buffalo with bunions. Maybe he should stick to the day job. Unlike the others, Tori's not been clowning around.
All right, Bleachy.
I'll try not to let you guys down.
And now, for the main attraction. And he's away. This, of course, is the easy bit. And Eric's up. Now they can really get this thing going. Already they're past Grant's best efforts.
Oh, you're almost there.
Sorry.
They're over 280.
Oh, you're getting it.
With one final push.
Push! Push!
It's just too much. Tori's as tired as a slug scaling a chimney. His mind wants to continue, but his body's given up.
I was like, yeah, we're gonna get it. And then my legs were like, no, you're not.
Well, we came here for a 360. We gotta leave with one.
Yeah.
Well, I'll do 360 for you guys.
You'll do it for us?
No problem.
Okay.
All right.
Eric, the 7th generation circus performer, takes center stage.
Wait. It wants to go around. There it goes. Ah, nice.
The ringmaster is over. So for rigid arms, this myth is confirmed. A 360 is really possible.
Eric, hey, thanks so much for all your help today.
With the rigid arms mission accomplished, the team must return to their chain swing to try to repeat this amazing feat. At the poolside, water is being surprisingly bulletproof. A few feet under, and you'd be safe from all the firepower they've used. Until now, when they're about to fire the biggest gun in town at 3,000 feet per second.
I don't know whether you understand what is about to happen here, but this is the M1 Garand.
Yeah.
This is the 50 caliber. The M1 Garand holds 150 grains. This one is 600 grains.
This kills you. This kills you and everyone else in the room.
Despite its crazy size, it looks like Jamie's going to bite the bullet and really fire this thing.
Yeah, let's just be prepared to unpack and get out of here really fast. Hopefully we'll be gone before the pool fully drains.
Jamie's not being quite so lighthearted.
So the safety's off now?
I would think so, yeah.
Okay.
With the bullet loaded, it's time to step back to safety. For everyone except Jamie.
Okay, eyes and ears. This is the 50 caliber at 10 feet.
Come hell or high water, this beast is going to get fired.
3, 2, 1.
Well, everyone seems to be alive.
Yeah, look at the water coming off of the roof.
That was more like an explosion than a gunshot. But where's the banana bullet?
There is no bullet in the ballistics gel.
But with this weapon, the bullet could have gone through the gel and buried itself in the far side of the pool.
What do you got?
I got a bunch of stuff. It expended all its energy within 3 feet and became totally non-lethal. Wow.
At 23 degrees, even the terrifying 50 cal won't get you. Just 14 inches under, and you'd be safe.
Well, Adam, this is totally amazing. Even with the 50 caliber, an armor-piercing round, it lost all its energy within the first couple of feet. It ripped the copper jacket off of it and didn't penetrate the target.
Well, just like all our other high-powered rifles.
Yeah.
And yet, with the slower muzzle velocity weapons, like a handgun, the black powder rifle, and the shotgun, we found deeper penetration, sometimes as much as 8 feet. But at a 30-degree angle, you'd still only have to get your body under about 3 feet, which is quite achievable.
Well, I guess you know what that means.
Yeah, the myth is confirmed. You would be safe.
Not that I'd want to try it.
A rigid arm swing can indeed go 360. but chain swings. Well, the build team tried their best, but got nowhere. This myth is busted. So now, in classic MythBusters fashion, they're going to do whatever it takes to get a chain swing up and over the bar. And they're going to start their extreme experiment with the scale model.
We came up with sort of a Wile E. Coyote solution to this 360 problem. We're just gonna strap a few rockets to little simulate Susie and just watch her go around the swing set.
No sooner said than done. Little Susie's got one glued to her back. And if this works, the team can scale up to full size and attach some monster rockets to their child's swing.
3, 2, 1, firing.
Well, the little Rocketeer went over the bar, but not quite as planned.
Well, that test was pretty good. I think what we need to check out now is what's more important, tension on the chain or angular velocity, which is going to push it around in an arc.
Okay.
So for test 2, the rocket is positioned exactly horizontal for maximum velocity.
In 3, 2, 1, firing.
Where's her hand, dude?
Busted off.
Blew her hand off?
She's tough.
The horizontal rocket sends Susie off into a cataclysmic spin and blows off her hand. So for the next test, the rocket is positioned vertically for max tension on the chain.
In 3, 2, 1, launching. That was pretty pathetic.
So the vertical rocket was pretty useless. It's going to be a combination that's needed for this myth. Something like, say, 40 degrees?
So this is test number 4. Rockets 40 degrees to the horizontal.
All right, we're armed and launching in 3, 2, 1, fire.
Yes!
Yeah.
Yes!
Beautiful.
Perfect!
That was great.
40 degrees was spot on. Susie goes 360 and beyond. So the next stage is to replicate this result on the full-size swing by strapping on some mammoth missiles. Rockets finally made Mini Susie go 360. Now, at Hamilton Air Force Base, the MythBusters are about to scale things up and strap rockets onto their full-size swing to replicate this feat.
Watch out, Trey.
Luckily, they've got amateur rocket expert Eric Gates to help them. A slightly smoother Eric has already helped the MythBusters test whether there was ever a Ming Dynasty astronaut. And rocket cars? Thanks to Eric, Adam and Jamie know they can go damn fast, but won't get off the ground. But this time he's got to jet simulate Susie 360 degrees round a swing set.
Worst case scenario is this chair is just going to end up flipping all by itself instead of actually going in a stable direction around. That's what we have to overcome.
As Eric begins wiring up the launch control, the MythBusters are doing some wiring of another kind.
Something a little scary about this image. We got like kids all tied up with baling wire.
Oh, come on, it's perfect family entertainment.
Definitely don't do this at home.
Because Susie is so much bigger than her scaled-down cousin, the team decide to attach 4 rockets. That's 400 pounds of thrust at the magic 40-degree angle. Once they're on, the igniters are put in and wired up in series. Why?
If one fails, none of them go. Oh. So that's why we wire them in series.
Everything's ready. Jamie's going to give the swing a starting push and then retreat to safety before Eric fires the rockets.
3, 2, 1.
Whoa. Well,
did a 360 just...
Slowed down, it's clear that only one side of the rocket's ignited, and that sent Susie into a gut-wrenching spin. But Eric reckoned that was impossible.
I mean, he said, quote, we rigged them up in series so that if one failed, they'd all fail. But that didn't seem to be the case. It looked like 2 failed and 2 worked.
This time, Eric puts just one rocket each side. Then there's less that can go wrong. With the wiring confirmed, Susie's ready for another wild ride.
3, 2, 1.
But maybe not that wild.
Okay, stay put.
So what went wrong this time? The high speed shows that one side fired off just before the other. It's a fraction of a second, but it's enough to throw Susie into a crazy twist. But why are they using 2 rockets anyway?
Well, Grant and Tori made a stellar model when we were in the shop, and they had it completely figured out with where they wanted their rockets and exactly the angle they wanted. They wanted just one rocket on her chest, and that seemed to be what propelled her around in 360. I actually am not sure why it got modified on the way here.
Whatever the reason, they now unmodify it and attach Eric's single biggest rocket dead center. But because they're worried about Susie's weight, they opt for a launch angle of 60 degrees.
3, 2, 1.
Third time unlucky, but it's not all bad news.
That even though the rocket fired its full ignition, she didn't spin, she just stayed in one direction, which is ideal. That means all we need to do is probably drop the angle a bit and she'll go forward instead of being just pushed down.
They drop the angle to 40 degrees. Now everything matches the scale test. While the fire marshals stand by, Jamie does a final head count. With the light fading, it's now or never for this myth.
Okay, we're good.
Jamie gives her one last push.
And 3, 2, 1.
And she's over. At last, using the results of the scale model tests, Simulate Susie finally goes the distance.
That's a full wrap on the chain.
Now there's proof that amidst the smoke, she really did go up and over the bar. And her chains? Well, the high speed shows that they were straight the whole way round. A perfect demonstration of a swing set 360.
For a minute there, I didn't think it was actually going to work.
No, I didn't think it was going to work most of the time.
But how cool was that when she's going and ends up on the top of the swing set?
I don't know. By cool, if you mean absolutely terrifying when they started spraying smoke and fire towards us, only 15 feet away?
Yeah, cool.
So in the final analysis team, what is the final verdict? The myth that you can do a full 360 in a swing set, busted, plausible, or confirmed?
Totally busted.
Not possible, busted.
Busted, but the rockets were spectacular.
Well, hopefully that's our job, to strap rockets onto everything.